Hi guys, welcome back to movie reviews. Still toying around with a couple ideas for a better name for this series. Haven't really found one I liked for this particular series. Got a couple other ideas for other series in mind eventually with some of the names I've come up with. So if you can come up with a better name for this, feel free to leave a comment. Um, anyway, movie reviews. Just got out of seeing Pain and Gain. Uh, Surprisingly, I like this film better than I thought I was going to. Based on the previews, it looked like it was just going to be this movie about weightlifting. I knew it was based on a true story, but I wasn't familiar with what the story background was. Then some people that I work with saw it and said that it was a lot different than what the preview made it out to be. So, what the hell? Nothing else good was playing tonight. For some reason, our theater didn't get the movies that I thought we were going to get. Instead, we got some independent films or some. I don't even remember what they're called. So, yeah, out of all the movies I had the option of watching, this was the best of the pick of the litter, I guess you could say. So yeah, Pain and Gain, based on a true story. It's about these guys that work at a gym. They they decide they want better out of life. Basically, when it first starts out, Mark Wahlberg is explaining what fitness means to him, which is kind of like whatever. Then he starts going into his philosophy on. He goes into his philosophy on life's not just going to hand you something, you have to work to get it, type of thing, which made a lot of sense, the way he kind of broke it down. But then you quickly realize that he's basically the character's kind of a meathead, like a male Barbie, like a himbo type of thing. He basically has the mentality that because he's built, that the world should just hand him everything. Like, I thought looking good would open all these doors for me, that it didn't. Like, and I can kind of see his point there, because it does seem like the beautiful people get further with opportunities than the less attractive do. But at the same time, the phrasing of it, again, like I said, makes you realize that he's kind of a meathead. So over the course of the movie, well, over the course of the beginning of the film, he decides that this one client he has, because he's a personal trainer through a gym, one of his clients, he said, this guy's like got a lot of money, and he decides, let's kidnap him, hold him hostage until he signs everything over to us, and we'll force him to sign everything over to us, and then he'll have everything, or we'll have all his stuff, and he'll have nothing. So they finally pull off this plan, and even though they have him blindfolded, he knows who they are. So then, basically, they torture him until they get him to sign the papers that they need him to sign, basically signing all of his fortune over to them. And then they come to the realization that they're going to have to kill him, because he knows who they are, and he could bring the authorities after him, whatever. So they try to kill him and screw up the execution, and he ends up living. But when he tells the police what happened to him, they don't believe the story, because the way it happened sounds really messed up. Basically, when they kidnapped him, they were dressed as ninjas. So he starts talking about bodybuilding ninjas kidnapped me and held me ransom until whatever. And so it sounds a little weird, so the cops don't buy into it. They think because he's part Colombian that maybe this was like a drug hit type of thing, whatever. So they kind of blow it off, and essentially the guys kind of get away with it and just live it up spending this guy's money, which is kind of where they got stupid. Actually, they were stupid before that, but that's kind of where, if they had been a little bit smarter about it, they probably could have got away with it, but they didn't. So the guy hires a private investigator, tells him the story. He's reluctant to believe it, but he goes, I'll look into it for you, type of thing, reluctantly. And he starts to buy that, maybe what this guy's saying happened is actually true. So then the one guy who had been clean and sober suddenly got back into doing drugs and drinking when he came into possession of all this money. The temptation, I guess, was too great. So he basically blows all of his money on cocaine, and he tries to rob a bank and almost gets caught. And then he almost gets caught, and then he decides that didn't work out, so instead there's this other guy that he met at the strip club where the guy is like a billionaire, like porn producer or something like that. So they say, he comes up with the idea, let's kind of do the same thing with that guy that we did with the other guy, kidnap him, or whatever. Get him to sign everything over to us, and then, we'll dispose of him, in whatever way necessary. So, as they're trying to get him to sign over the papers, they're trying to pull a con scheme with him, like, invest in, this project that we're doing. The guy wants to invest in it, but right when he's going to sign the papers, which were actually documents to sign over his fortune to them, he says, I'd like to speak with the board of directors who's going to be backing this, just to clear a couple things up, basically cover all his own bases, which was a smart thing to do. And the Mark Wahlberg character kind of goes off on him, and he's like, what are you saying, that I'm stupid? You're going to go above my head, you don't trust me, type of thing, and they start fighting. And a barbell falls on the guy's head as he's laying on the ground, killing him. His wife, who was there, comes in and sees what happened, and she starts freaking out, and they shoot her up with horse tranquilizer. And then two of the guys go out to get supplies to clean up the mess from all the blood and stuff. The other guy is there to watch the girl. And as she kind of starts to come back, the horse tranquilizer starts to wear off, and she starts freaking out again. He's supposed to shoot her up again, but he ends up giving her too much. She dies. So now they got two dead bodies on their hands, and so now they got to dispose of these bodies, and they never got any of the guy's money, because he ended up dying before he signed off the papers. So they go and they go to get stuff to clean up the bodies and everything, and eventually it leads to them, through a series of idiotic mistakes, mostly because of the drugs, they end up leaving a bunch of evidence that can tie the police back to them, and that's kind of what happened. The cops track them all down, arrest them. They go on trial, which was a real trial, and that was kind of the end of the movie. Overall, wasn't a bad movie. Like I said, I went into it expecting not to like it, and I actually kind of did like it. One thing that really saved this movie from being a little boring was The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. That guy's comedic delivery on lines is, I don't know, he just has like the perfect comedic delivery for stupid lines. And like the character is obviously like this kind of, like I said, a meathead kind of idiot type of thing. You know, he can lift weights but doesn't really have uh, the mentality to process anything bigger than what's going on around him type of thing. And he just has some stupid throwaway lines that are just like completely ridiculous, but it's just the way The Rock delivers them. That's actually the first time I've actually flat out laughed in a movie theater in quite a while. And the movie wasn't really intended to be a comedy. It's just these guys were literally what's the right word? I don't want to say idiotic because obviously it took a little bit of brains to pull off what they did, but inept, I guess, would be the right word. And I lost my train of thought of what I was even saying, but yeah, the Rock just pulls off these lines so beautifully, and it's, like I said, it's honestly the first time I've laughed at a movie in quite a while, other than like an occasional chuckle at something dumb, like was it Scary Movie 5 when the drawing of the penis or whatever made me chuckle. That wasn't a flat out laugh, it was just like a type of thing. This actually had me laughing out loud in the theater. It wasn't steady all the way through the movie though, which yeah, there were other people that were laughing at a lot more stuff than what I was, but there were parts of this movie that actually made me laugh out loud, which is a good thing, because it's rare that a movie does that. But it was mostly the delivery of stuff, of lines from The Rock. The Mark Wahlberg character had a few lines that could have made me laugh, but his delivery just wasn't there. Yeah, they were more or less chuckle lines where, I don't know, it's just something about the way The Rock delivered the stuff. It's probably just because he's this huge, muscular guy, and then he's so innocently he's just so innocently childlike that you can't help but laugh at the guy. It's hard to explain, but yeah, it's worth watching just to see The Rock's delivery of this stuff. Overall, like I said, it's based on a real story, a real event, I should say. So as far as like what happened, probably not the best story. I actually, towards the end of it, I felt like I'd seen this story before, and it's probably because at some point I heard about the trial back when it actually happened. I think it was in 95, they said. I would have been like 15 at the time. But it seemed like I'd actually seen it as an actual movie before, not just news coverage of it. But as far as I know, there was no previous movie made about this situation. Yeah, but I just had like a deja vu moment towards the end of it where it's like, even though this movie just came out, I feel like I've seen it before. Yeah, overall, like I said, it's not a good movie. Well, it's not a great movie at any rate. It could be argued if it's a good movie or not. I've actually had other people that I work with that saw it say they don't like it. Others liked it and were indifferent. Others saw it and were indifferent. Others saw it and liked it. It wasn't what I was expecting when I went into it. It wasn't the best movie, but it wasn't horrible either. And like I said, it's worth watching just for The Rock's delivery of some of the most idiotic lines you'll probably ever hear. So yeah, that's Pain and Gain. As far as a star rating, I'm gonna go ahead and give this one. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a 3.5. Well, maybe more of a 3. Yeah, we're gonna go with a 3 on this one. Like I said, it's a middle of the road movie. I almost want to give it the 3.5 just for The Rock, but yeah, we'll stick with a 3. I actually like The Rock in this better than I liked him in G.I. Joe Retaliation. I know because of his size, they try and push him off as this big action star, but honestly, he's got a better career, in my opinion, as a comedic actor. I mean, he can still do the action roles, but he's definitely missing his calling, not doing more comedy. I don't remember what that other movie was he did with John Travolta, but that was a comedic role, and that was actually the part of that movie that I liked the most, was his comedy in that. And again, here it kind of saved the movie from just being, it's bodybuilders kidnapping a guy. Yeah, so anyway, that's Pain and Gain. Like I said, it's worth checking out just for The Rock's performance alone. But other than that, it's a take it or leave it movie as far as I'm concerned. So, not sure what I'm going to get around to seeing next. We got Iron Man opening next week, I think. What's today? Today's the 3rd. Yeah, like 4 days Iron Man opens. Probably not going to get to see that opening week just because of how big the film is. So it might be a couple weeks before I can review that one. A few other things opening up next month, so hopefully I'll have a lot more of these coming soon. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the movies.